Hello, everybody. Welcome to the final debates for Biggest Meme on Campus 2024. My name is Ali Lebrecq. I am the Vice President of Service for Alpha Phi Omega. I am joined today by...
My name is Josh. I'm the Biggest Meme on Campus Chair for Alpha Phi Omega.
And my name is Sarvish. I am the Sergeant at Arms for Alpha Phi Omega.
Yes, and Biggest Meme on Campus. We are so happy to finally making a comeback since 2020 when we were shut down for the pandemic. This is a very huge year for us. For those who may not know, Biggest Meme on Campus started by Alpha Phi Omega in 1958 in a competition called Meanest Man on Campus. We have always run, consequently, with GM Week to elect, along with some other very important student government positions, the truly most important position in all of campus, the biggest meme on campus. So with that being said, let us meet our candidates. Coming up first, I would like to introduce someone who you all know, you all love, someone who just hates Mondays. It's Garfield. Yeah! Secondly, I would like to introduce a true veteran of Biggest Meme on campus, Dr. Corey Woodcock. And third, we have a new candidate, a true underdog who joined the competition just yesterday. You may have seen him around, the Moose. And last but not least, we have Alpha Phi Omega's mascot, Glump. Glump is an angry blue washing machine. Thank you, Glump. We will now begin our debates with our first question, starting from Garfield and going forward. What charity are you supporting, and why are you the biggest meme on campus?
I am running for Free to Be Me Rescue Center, which is run out of Del Mar, New York. It covers all of the Troy to Albany area for strays and preps them for adoption. I'm the biggest meme because I am Garfield. I am universal. You know me, you've seen me, love lasagna, I hate Mondays. I'm the biggest meme.
Hi, Dr. Corey Woodcock. Some of you know me from fluid mechanics. Some of you know me from transport phenomena. Some of you may know me from just having an amazing amount of Riz. So I'm here to support Planned Parenthood. I think it's a really, really solid foundation that needs support, especially in today's kind of political climate where people's rights are being kind of questioned and removed in some places. I think it's important that we support places and support charities like this that can help mitigate what's going on in those kind of places.
I am the Moose. I think that about tells you who I am. If you don't know, the Moose has been around at RPI. I graduated 2012 in I'm an Arrow. It's fun. And I decided to come back after COVID because the Moose is funny. I am supporting the Mount Ida Preservation Association, which is a local food bank and community center. It's a 15-minute walk from campus. Just go down 15th and you'll see it. And they support a lot of in-need families and just support the community as a whole. So supporting them today.
Glump, glump.
Mr. Glump, could you repeat what charity are you supporting?
Glump, glump.
I see. For those
Glump?
Please, for those who do not understand Glump, Glump is supporting Unity House, which is an organization here in Troy that supports children and family in crises. A very great organization. Thank you for all of our candidates and their supporting charities tonight. If at any point you would like to donate or vote to one of our candidates, we have a table over here underneath Panera where you are able to do so. We will now move on to our next questions.
Yeah, so this is another one for all of our candidates. What are your credentials as, or for really, the biggest meme on campus? And how have memes impacted your life, starting with Garfield?
Garfield as a meme has truly transcended many different eras. He is, from his debut as a cartoon in the 1990s, he has been a fixture and staple in the animation world and has continuously used and leveraged his hatred for Monday and his love of lasagna to take a true mark in people's hearts. Therefore, he is truly one of the biggest memes of all time.
So I think I'm pretty well qualified for this. I have a little bit of age and experience on some of my younger candidates here. And I was actually alive and witnessed the rise and fall of the meme economy. Some of you don't remember this. A lot of you think the Skibidi toilet or something is the apex of memery, but it's not. I taught practical meme making. I taught memology and society. I'm very well qualified for this, and I hope that you'll find the same through the debate, through being in my class. You'll find that I'm by far the best candidate and the person that you want representing you when it comes to the memes that people see.
So my qualifications are that I am the moose, all-seeing, all-knowing. The moose knows everything. So I think I'm pretty qualified to know what a meme is, considering I know literally everything. So I also know that I am the biggest meme. Enough said.
Glump, your answer?
Glump smash.
Thank you, Glump. Garfield, I do have a question for you. Lasagna?
Yes, lasagna. Lasagna is the peak of all cooking, all fine eatery is held within 3 layers of pasta, 1 layer of cheese, 1 layer of meat, and all of it can be summed up well within what I'm holding in my hand right now. This is the peak of humanity right here. This is what I live for.
Next up, moving to the moose. What is the plural of moose?
So some of you might think that the plural of moose is moose. Meese is another thing you hear, mooses, but it's actually moosesses. So please, all of moose kind doesn't really appreciate when you refer to them incorrectly, so I'd ask that you please use the correct plural of moosesses for now and for the rest of time. Thank you.
Dr. Woodcock, we have a question from the audience. A member named Raphael would like to know, is cereal soup?
So cereal can be considered soup under a certain pretense, right? So we know that gazpacho is a cold soup, right? It's disgusting cold tomato soup, and it really has no business existing in the world. But if we look at the qualifications for soup, some liquidy meal with chunks in it, then the cereal easily qualifies as a soup. And so I encourage you all to enjoy your soup for breakfast.
Glump, I have a question for you as a fellow sports fan, and really looking forward to the March Madness tournament. Who do you have winning March Madness?
Glump glump. Glumpy glumpy. Glump. Glump smash. Glump glump.
Okay. So a bit of an underdog pick, but still definitely in the mix. I like that. I like that.
Yes, and Garfield, a big part of your platform was was removing Mondays from the calendar. Could you explain to me why you believe Mondays should be removed?
Mondays are an atrocity to all of human existence. They have single-handedly brought people down from the highest of highs to their lowest of lows, And they simply, if we remove Mondays, nobody has to experience those lowest of lows. We can all exist in the happy medium and to the highest of highs and just completely roll on with the rest of our existence and just become better as a race, a species, as a society. Mondays just ruin everything.
Yo, that's kind of crazy. Audience, remember that this is a debate, and try not to be too loud, okay? Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you, Sarvesh. Professor Woodcock, can you out pizza the Hut? Is that something within your skill set? Can you out pizza the Hut?
So a lot of you, this will actually go back to what I was mentioning about my age and experience helping me to become the best candidate. A lot of you are too young to remember the movie Spaceballs, right? And in the movie Spaceballs, Pizza the Hut was the epitome of evil. And I could absolutely, I don't know what question you asked me because it was a little bit echoey, but I'm just talking about this. I hope you don't mind. He was defeated by two rogue interstellar lopers who ended up becoming the heroes of the show. So I'm here to make you all the heroes of your own show.
Thank you, Dr. Woodcock, for that insightful answer. Now, for the Moose, I'm hoping for an equally insightful answer to this query that has been rattling around in my mind. Let's say Glump gave Dr. Woodcock 5 bananas, and Dr. Woodcock gave Garfield 17 bananas. The Moose gave Glump 472 bananas, and Garfield ate the rest of the bananas. With that in mind, what is the mass of the sun?
About 3.
Good answer. Good answer.
That's an RPI graduate for you. Next up, going back to Glump, ketchup or mustard?
Glump smash.
Okay, interesting. I like that answer, but I think it'll take some time for at least me personally to process.
Glumpy glumpy.
Okay.
Glump
okay.
glump. Glump smash.
Hey, Mr. Glump, would you mind please calming down, please? Okay, this is supposed
Glump
to be
smash.
a formal debate.
Yes, thank
Glump
you.
glump.
He's still going.
I don't know. I know. Glump. Okay, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Apologies for those interruptions. Mr. Garfield, if I may ask you a similarly intense question. As of July 2023, a U.S. agency has sponsored a $10 million research project to develop the theoretical process of cold fusion and low-energy nuclear reactions. Do you agree with the scientific validity of the concept of cold fusion? And please explain your views of the future implications of the development of cold fusion technology.
More cold fusion means more energy to cook more lasagna. I believe this should be the way it works. Now, if there is another idea or new concept that comes about that results in more energy to cook more lasagna, I would rather that be funded instead. But for now, with this being the peak of energy harvesting, I would like that to be what is used so everybody could have more lasagna. It is needed in the world.
To clarify, are you in favor of radioactive lasagna?
Lasagna's lasagna, you gotta eat it.
Thank you.
Okay, the Moose. Now, I know there are a lot of conspiracies. There's a lot of talk, a lot of rumors about this particular subject, but I wanted to get to you about it. Do you know what's really going on in MPAC?
So I'm not too sure. There is an egg there, so I'd assume they're making breakfast, right? And that better be a pretty good breakfast. Considering it's such a big egg, I wonder what bird that egg's from, but I kind of want to taste. I think it's just breakfast, honestly. Like, what else would they be doing in that building?
Very fair, very fair.
A follow-up question. It is very well known that MPAC is slowly sliding down the hill. What is your solution to stop this from happening so that we can all enjoy the breakfast you mentioned?
So I think we could just reinforce MPAC as a structure. Just add some supports on. If you make it out of ice cream, I think that some ice cream on the building should be enough to stabilize it, because ice cream is a fantastic building material. So I think just reinforce with ice cream is a good answer to your question.
Thank you for that answer. Does this tie into any of your campaign promises?
Absolutely. So, considering that the union will be soon getting a unlimited supply of ice cream, we could reinforce MPAC and stop it from sliding down the hill for completely free. Win-win.
Thank you for that answer.
Professor Woodcock. We'll wait for applause. Okay. Professor Woodcock, would you rather have games, unlimited games, but no games, or unlimited bacon, but no games?
Games or bacon?
Yes.
Well, that one for me is a pretty easy choice. I'm a vegetarian, so unlimited games. Unlimited games is easily the choice. Yeah. I am a gamer too. I like video games. I like messing with my students. To me, that's a game. Yeah, like grading papers. That's a game. So games on games on games.
Mr. Glump, one next question for you. Glump?
Glump, glump. Glumpy, glumpy. Glump? Glump smash.
Thank you, Mr. Glump, as insightful as ever.
Glump?
All right. Garfield, would you rather fight 10 duck-sized Puckmans or 1 Puckman-sized duck?
I believe that I could take a duck in a fight. I myself, as a cat, could take on anything, really. Cats are fearless. Cats have 9 lives. Either one would be fine. With the power of lasagna and no Monday on my side, anything is possible.
Thank you.
Hey, everyone in the audience, do you see these people right here? These are 3 extremely beautiful, amazing candidates. And you guys are talking over them, and it's breaking my heart. It's okay. Okay, please. Okay, I'm good. Don't talk.
I would actually love to hear the other candidates' responses to the same question. So to repeat, would you rather fight? Would you rather fight 10 duck-sized Puckmans or 1 Puckman-sized duck?
For me, it really wouldn't matter. I'd win the fight. I think that's what it really comes down to. I think the Puckman-sized duck might be a little bit easier for me. I'm classically trained in keto. I wrestled during my high school time. I did boxing after that. I did Golden Gloves boxing, so I'm not too worried about the ducks or Puckman himself. I'm pretty good, yeah.
Thank you. And the moose, same question.
So I'm a moose, and if you don't know, mooses can weigh up to like 1,500 pounds. So I don't think either is really they can't touch me. I take on 10 Puckman-sized Puckmans even, or 10 truck-sized Puckmans. I don't care. I'm a moose. We can do anything.
Thank you, Moose. I have another question for Mr. the Moose. How far thou go, how long shall thou travel? What heights must thou reach in order to obtain the glorious substance that is a Klondike bar?
So, as a moose, I have traveled far and wide across the known and unknown universe. I have seen so many wonderful sights in my time, but I have never even dreamed of seeing a Klondike bar because they are so exclusive. You just don't see them. There's like one in the entire universe. So I'd go as far as I could, if only it were possible.
I've seen a Klondike bar. I'm not telling you what I had to do to get it.
Why go all that way for a Klondike bar when you have the peak of humanity right in front of me in the form of lasagna?
Vegetarian.
Tofu lasagna? Would that interest you?
After the
Lasagna,
debate, let's.
I got you.
lasagna
Glump?
is not good.
You know what I do for a Klondike bar? I'd want the audience to stop talking. Yeah, that's right. I'm calling all you guys out. You better freaking believe it.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And as we were speaking of epic quests, I do have another question for Dr. Corey Woodcock. A three-part question, if you will, answer all three parts. What is your name? What is your quest? And what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Would that be an American swallow or a European swallow?
Yes.
Yeah, that terminal velocity is it. So other than that, my name is Corey Woodcock, Dr. Corey Woodcock to you people out there though. I actually started at RPI here in 2012, right, as a PhD candidate. I started here in 2010 as an undergrad. I did a 2-year undergrad, became a PhD candidate. I graduated from RPI. I then got a job here at RPI, and I am the person that you want making your memes. Believe me. I'm a fixture here, and I forgot the second part of the question.
The second part is, what is your quest?
My quest is for everlasting happiness for all of you, me, the moose, Garfield, in the form of lasagna, and also to get like lots of money, to be really, really, really rich.
Thank you. And for that third part, you seem to be dodging this question. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Oh, so this will be governed by not only the aerodynamics of the swallow, but we'll need to know the temperature. We can assume atmospheric pressure, although if the swallow is at a higher altitude, we might need to take into account a little drop in the pressure. But based on the viscosity and density of the air, the swallow will have different velocities depending on the exact conditions of the day.
Thank you for that answer. I would like to now bring this to the Moose, who I believe has a degree in aerospace engineering. Moose, how do you feel about Dr. Woodcock's answer on that previous question as an experienced aerospace engineer?
So, with all my experience in life, I've learned some things. If it is a variable, or if it is a unusual number of any sort, it is 3. Pi is equal to 3, E is equal to 3, friction is equal to 3, air resistance also equal to 3. So, all your unknowns, just assume they're 3, and then you get your answer very easily. So I think it's a skill issue, honestly.
In what company do you work? It's Boeing, right? I think that was how the 737 came to be. That's why they picked the 37.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, I worked for Boeing, but I'm sorry, but just 3 is your, 3 is your answer to everything, so.
Okay, thank you for that very accurate numerical answer. I'd like to remind everybody that we are campaigning for charities tonight. If you'd like to donate at all, we have our table set up next to Panera. You can also pick up some very cool stickers and some swag if you are interested. This would conclude our individual section. We're going to go back to asking questions of each of the candidates. First of all, I'd like to ask Garfield, how do you feel RPI could better maximize its meme potential?
I would say RPI as a campus already is operating on current meme maximization. As a campus, our student body does a great job with coming up with their own little memes every day. I'd say it'd have to be a major breakthrough in meme generation to really push us even further beyond, to go even further beyond where we currently are.
Thank you. I love that answer, really pushing forward to the future. Dr. Woodcock, same question. How do you feel RPI could maximize its meme potential?
Yeah, I think we right now are living through a severe deficit of quality memes. Unfortunately, the golden age of memes is gone, and we need to bring this back up to its full potential. And we can do that through a multi-pronged approach. First of all, we need to invigorate some research here at RPI. We are a research university. I have not seen one professor doing research on meme making, right? This is a problem. We need funding for meme making, we need research on meme making, and then we need action. We need people that can take this knowledge and create memes that are gonna have good social impact and lasting wherewithal, right? Like the Drake meme, we still see the Drake meme all over the place. That was from the golden age of memes, right? I promise you, Skibidi Toilet won't be around in another 2 years. Right.
Dr. Woodcock, are you volunteering to head up the meme department at RPI?
I am more than willing. I am actively gathering a research group to look at meme making and the memology. So if you're interested, a quick vote for me would definitely let me know. But you can also reach out to me by voting for me or email or voting for me.
Thank you, Dr. Woodcock, for that very brave volunteer to lead this new organization. Now, Moose, I'd have the same question for you. How do you feel RPI could better maximize its meme potential?
So I think the first best step, vote the Moose for Grand Marshal. Because if elected, I will require all professors of every class to have Subway Surfers on screen during their lectures at all times. I will require every electronic device to be split screen with Subway Surfers 24/7. I will require every student to sleep listening to Skibidi Toilet. I think that is the best way we can fix our meme issue at RPI.
Thank you for those insightful answers. I think the future is bright for memes.
And I'd like to note the interesting contrast between our two middle candidates, the seemingly anti-Skibidi Toilet versus the pro-Skibidi Toilet. Definitely something for voters to keep in mind as they cast their ballots tonight. But moving on to our next question. Again, this will be a question for everyone, starting with Garfield. This is obviously a competition. There will be winners. Well, there will be one winner. And then several other losers. With that in mind, which candidate do you think is, the biggest threat to you personally in this competition, and which one do you think is the most or the least threatening candidate?
Me personally, I have been campaigning throughout these past few weeks, doing the most events. You might have seen my Monday protest, and really the candidate that I've seen with the closest level of commitment to this has been the Moose, which I will say, even though he has come up within just this last day, which, where were you, man? You're omnipotent, you should know this. But as much as he's come in through the door late, he has really put in a lot of work. So I will respect that and say that he is my biggest competition. As for the other end of the spectrum, I hate to say it, Glump, my boy, this ain't it, Chief.
Glump smash. Glump smash. Glump smash.
Look, I'm just stating the
Glump
facts, bro.
smash.
I'm just stating the facts.
Glump
I'm
smash.
just stating the facts.
Whoa,
Glump
whoa,
smash.
whoa, whoa.
Glump smash.
Can all the candidates
smash.
please calm down?
Glump smash.
Please, glump, glump.
Glump smash.
Mr. Glump, this is all professional. Let's please keep it that way, okay?
Glumpy glumpy.
Can I use my wrench on him, please? Can I use my wrench on him, please? Yeah, okay.
Moving on, Professor Woodcock, would you like to answer that question? Yeah, absolutely. So, which candidate out of the ones assembled before you?
Yes. Sorry. So yeah, I have some very formidable competition. I participated in BMOC in 2020, and I have to say, I only had one candidate running against me, and there wasn't much competition. But anyhow, so we know Garfield can go all Garfield EXE on us if he wants to, right? And we don't want to see that happen. Moose can be pretty terrifying. I don't know if you know how big moose can be, but they're actually pretty horrifying. Glump is, I kind of agree. I feel like, Glumpy might get a little grumpy, steal a sock or something, but really, I'm not sure that there's a big threat there. So, yeah, I'd say between Garfield and the moose, I've got my work cut out for me.
And the moose, same question.
I am a moose. Nothing can compete.
And Mr. Glump, I would like to ask the same question of you. Who do you feel is your biggest competition?
Glumpy glumpy.
That is...
Glump glump.
That's very insightful.
Glump.
I would agree.
Glump smash.
Oftentimes we are our own worst enemies, and it's very important to recognize that, yes, Glump may indeed be your worst enemy.
Glump glump. Glumpy glumpy.
That's...
Glump
is
smash.
Is everything okay, Glump? Do you need to talk to someone?
Glumpy glumpy. Glumpy glumpy.
Moving on to our next question, Glump. I have another question for all three of our candidates. What would you do if put in charge of RPI for just one day?
You already know what's happening. Mondays, abolished, gone, obliterated. All dining halls, Commons, Blitman, Sage, all serving lasagna all day long. No more closed dining hall hours. It's all lasagna. It's just that easy. It's just that easy.
Same question to Dr. Woodcock. If put in charge of RPI for one day, what would you do?
I know exactly what I'd do. I'd go over to the Troy building and I'd get in that elevator and I'd see where it goes. Because I'm not sure that anyone's ever made it past those security guards. I've been here for a long time, and I know that's the first thing that I would do for sure.
That's a very insightful answer. For the moose, I have the same question. If put in charge of RPI for one day, what would you do?
So, I've said this before, it's no secret. Step one, I would be inventing a perpetual motion machine to create unlimited funds for any project. And then my second step would be to use that unlimited energy and funds to provide unlimited free ice cream for all students 24/7, 365 days a year. We all need more ice cream. You can never have too much. The best part is, we will have every flavor you could ever want. If you think about it, we would have gotten it last week, because that's how good Moose is. So, ice cream.
Good answer, good answer. I have one more question for you all. As we all know, RPI is about to celebrate its 200th birthday, and I'm wondering, if you were celebrating your 200th birthday, how would you celebrate?
I would be celebrating in a cat bed, plate of lasagna in front of me, just relaxing. Lazy as can be, the Garfield way.
Thank you, Garfield. Dr. Woodcock, same question. How would you celebrate your 200th birthday?
So, pretty ideal situation for me might be sitting back in the office, surrounded by memes and the plaque that said you won BMOC 2024. and, probably watch some YouTube to catch up on the latest memes, and catch up with a few of my researchers who have gotten PhD in meme making and see what they're up to. That seems to be what I would.
That sounds like a wonderful way to celebrate. Moose, same question. If you were to live to be 200 years old, how would you celebrate your 200th birthday?
So, as you may or may not know, I actually have already had my 200th birthday a while ago. So, but let me tell you how I did celebrate it. I was inventing Minecraft.
If hypothetically you had not celebrated your 200th birthday, how would you celebrate?
Well, thinking back, if I could do something different, I'm not sure. I'd invent Roblox. How's that sound?
That sounds lovely. Thank you for that answer. We all hope to be playing Roblox when we're 200 years old. I would like to now move into our candidates' closing remarks. I'd like you all to each take a couple minutes to reflect on your campaigns, reflect on what we've shared on this stage today. And I would like you all to share, why should RPI vote for you as the biggest meme on campus?
RPI's motto is, why not change the world? Garfield's reach, I believe, is worldwide. Through the power of Garfield, the power of hating Monday, the power of lasagna, all of these things combined can universally unite any kind of people. This power is what can change the world. And RPI always says, why not change the world? And you can do that with Garfield. Thank you.
So for my closing remarks, I want to say first of all that no matter who you vote for, if you vote, you're supporting a charity. And no matter what, we all win when you support a charity in your local community. So then the question is, why vote for me over anyone else when you're doing good work no matter what? And I don't really have a perfect answer for you. But the more votes I get, the more relaxed I'm going to feel when I'm grading your exams. The more time I'll have to think about all these votes I'm getting instead of making new homework assignments for you. So I don't know why you'd want to vote for me, really. I don't know. Because, if I don't get a lot of votes, I might think that the student body doesn't like me a lot, maybe take some of that anger and pent-up aggression out when I'm making exams and that sort of thing. That wouldn't happen, of course, but I'm just trying to think of why you would want to vote for me.
And just to be clear, Dr. Woodcock, you are not trying to get your students to bribe you, are you?
No, your grades definitely do not depend on whether you vote for me, right? Your grades definitely do not depend on that.
Yes, please listen closely, all of Dr. Woodcock's current students. And moving on to the Moose. Why should RPI vote for you as this year's biggest meme on campus?
So I think RPI should vote for the Moose, because the Moose has the most history here at RPI. The Moose originated here over a decade ago and has ran for GM more than once. So I think the fact that there's a literal animal running for the highest position at RPI, highest student position at RPI, and 2016, some year like that, the Moose almost won. The Moose was on the ballot as the Moose. And I think that's just kind of funny. Like, I don't think it's just me. Like, that's kind of funny. It's just a moose. So, it's just funny. I don't know.
It's just funny. Excellent answer. And my final question of the night goes to Mr. Glump. Why should RPI vote for you as the biggest meme on campus?
Glumpy Glumpy. Glump smash. Glumpy Glumpy. Glump Glump. Glump. Glump smash. Glumpy Glumpy.
I completely
With that
agree.
being said, vote for Glump.
Thank you for that impassioned speech, Mr. Glump. As a reminder, Glump is supporting Unity House. Garfield is supporting the Free to Be Me Pet Rescue. Dr. Woodcock is supporting Planned Parenthood. And the Moose is supporting Mount Ida Preservation Association. Thank you all very much to our candidates. Let's give them one last round of applause. And thank you all for attending Biggest Meme on Campus 2024. As a reminder, if you would like to cast a vote for our candidates and donate to their wonderful charities, we have a table set up right over there. We also have our online donations set up on our website, bmoc.apoez.org. Thank you all again for attending.
But the sunset's so pretty. And now, the Election Commission, in partnership with the GM Week Committee, is proud to bring you the members of the Rensselaer Student Union, the GM Week 2024 debate, presenting tonight's host and moderator, the Student Senate Elections Commission Chair, Timothy Miles.
Hello, members of the Union. This year's election has been outstanding so far, the highest participation in over 6 years. It's been truly amazing. As such, we have organized for you a debate that's up to your standards, a high standard. We intend to not only inform you about the candidates that you are electing to the highest positions in our union, but also entertain you long enough to stick around. But before I get to what we're all waiting for, which is the candidates, I want to take a quick moment to thank some people. Thank you to WRPI, Union Showtech, and RPI TV for putting on this production. The GM Week Committee, APO, and the union staff for all their help this week. And Amicus Properties for the free food that was all over here. This event is entirely student-run, by students, for students. The broadcast, the lights, everything. It's all going to be student-run. And I'd also like to thank all of you for coming out to participate in our democratic process and putting up with our candidates' nomination requirements this week. But we're going to go straight to what's important here, the candidates.
Starting with the Grand Marshal. The Grand Marshal is the highest elected office in the RPI Student Union, serving as the chief and leader spokesperson for the student body. The GM presides over the Student Senate, the chief legislative and representative body of the union. The GM has regular meetings with Institute officials and serves on a number of Institute committees. The time commitment required for this position is substantial. The 2024 GM candidates are Vivian Ross Nassan, and Ria Masoni. President of the Union. The President of the Union presides over the Executive Board, the budgeting group of the Union, and is the Chief Financial Officer of the Union. The UP appoints all of the members of the Executive Board. Like the GM, the UP is in close contact with Institute officials. The time commitment for this office is substantial. The 2024 PU candidates are Catherine Phillips, and Joseph Bowers. Undergraduate President. The President of the Undergraduate Council presides over the Undergraduate Council, the body which supervises the 4 undergraduate class councils. The UP nominates all UC officers and shall assume the duties of all unfilled officer positions on the UC. This year's candidate for UP is Paul Corey.
So, we're feeling excited? Anyone feeling nervous? Scared? A little bit? Okay. Anyways, debate. I'm going to quickly go over the format before we dive right in. A little bit long, but important. The candidates have been giving this ahead of time, but it's important that everyone else in the audience is aware. This debate will consist of several sections. There are general questions, candidate-specific questions, the lightning round, a short break, and then audience questioning. Each candidate will also be allowed to make a short opening and closing statement. Candidates will have 1 minute and 30 to respond to questions. I will indicate when 30 seconds are remaining. Just gonna raise my placard, guys. Each candidate has also been given 2 green cards and 1 red card. A green card can be used to add an additional minute to their time. The red card can be used to respond to another candidate for 1 minute. These questions have been prepared by a panel of students representing the membership of the union. Sample debate topics were provided to the candidates ahead of time, but the questions were not. Audience questions can be asked live or submitted through the Google form. There should be a QR code around the room. As moderator, I did not write any of these questions. And as a result, I reserve the right to declare any questions or statements out of order. Candidates may also choose to refuse any questions they believe is out of order. And for you, the audience, you're allowed to be energetic. You're allowed to be enthusiastic. And most importantly, you're allowed to show some spirit. Yeah! However, I will ask you to be respectful. It takes a lot to be up on the stage in front of your peers. And I want you to hear the answers to the candidates the first time. I'm also going to say this is the first debate of this scale in 6 years for most of us. So none of us organizing this were around for the last one. So if we have any bumps or problems, please be patient with us. Anyways, enough with the rules. We're going to go straight into opening statements. Starting with Grand Marshal. The order was decided by a game of rock, paper, scissors backstage, and Vivian will be going first.
Yes, hello. My name is Vivian Ross Nassan, and I'm running for Grand Marshal. If you ask the registrar, I'm simply a sophomore industrial management engineer dealing with sustainability studies. If you ask me, I'm the best choice for Grand Marshal to ensure a proactive and productive term. I'm coming off my first official year on the Senate where I served as an independent senator, which means I represented all students but those enrolled in Greek life. And as Academic Affairs Committee Chair, I oversaw one of the main committees on campus that works with the provost directly. My experience is unique among those running for GM and sets me up for success in the transition period. I understand how internal and external Senate communications work and have ideas on how to best improve them. As AAC chair, I work diligently to lower textbook costs for 4 classes by 30%, and as GM, plan to extend those packages to classes that use the same textbooks and extend the time students can access their textbooks. Education should not be temporary, and since much of our education compounds, having access to fundamental principles is essential. I'm a firm believer that our education should be accessible. That encompasses being able to physically access your learning spaces, trust the water coming out of the pipes, and being able to mentally rest during extended breaks. Change does not happen because of one student alone. It requires active engagement with the student community and creating spaces in decision-making rooms for students. As Grand Marshal, I plan to ensure the Senate accurately represents the student body by creating a diversity, equity, and inclusion chair, encouraging collaboration between student senate, faculty senate, and the graduate council committees, and push for active engagement between the Senate committees and student groups. It is equally important that I stay in touch with the student body as well, which I want to accomplish by holding GM office hours and facilitating more town halls that are both topic-focused and campus-wide. I've gotten a lot of questions about my long-term goals or what I hope is accomplished beyond my term. The good news is, I will still be here after my term ends. While I have a limited time in office, I am able to set up a framework for projects that will be seen through after my term ends, and I still attend RPI. I encourage you all to vote for someone with the necessary motivation and experience to better the student experience indefinitely, and vote Vivian for Grand Marshal. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ria Masodi and I'm running for Grand Marshal. Since my very first semester on campus back in fall of 2020, I've been involved in student government. First as the class of 2024 vice president during a very interesting time. For all of you that were here, I'm sure you remember the pandemic policies and the transitions that were occurring then. The next year, I became the class of 2024 president. And following that, I have been the undergraduate president ever since for the past 2 years. I also served as the communications director and a project lead for the Facilities and Services Committee on the Student Senate, and as the Panhellenic Director of Communications. Across all of these positions, my main goal has been focusing on the students. What can I do as one person to improve our experience for all? And I've advocated for a number of different changes that have caused direct results, and things such as increasing mental health resources and creating more support groups for students, improving the residential policies, especially during the COVID pandemic, increasing food offerings in the dining hall, increasing hours of the dining hall, and improving the arch preparation, the arch experience during the summer semester academics, even changing the academic calendar so that students actually have 2 weeks off at the end of the summer semester instead of just one. Additionally, I created the weekly union events email, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. You see my emails every morning on Mondays, as a source of a place where clubs and organizations can actually advertise their events and see all of what's going on, and so much more. But being an officer of the union for the past 2 years, I've learned a lot, both about student senate advocacy, but also things that just go on behind the scenes between different meetings, what sorts of emails, also developing personal connections and relationships with various administrators, training new members, and having quite a few difficult conversations along the way. But across these 4 years, I believe that the changes that I have made, the impact I have been substantial and have provided me with the experience and knowledge necessary to be the best Grand Marshal that I can, to represent the student body and do my best to advocate for each and every one of you. And so what will that look like? The main things as Grand Marshal that I will focus on is ensuring an accessible and inclusive community, making sure that all students feel welcome, that all have access to campus and campus resources. Increasing campus safety, making sure you can walk to class without fear of being hit. Returning power to students. Our student union is student run, but that doesn't mean our powers aren't limited. We used to be able to do a whole lot more than what we're able to right now, and students deserve to fully run the student union in every possible way. In addition to this, I also, as Grand Marshal, will create more resources for mental health, academics, underrepresented students, graduate students, and so much more. And as Grand Marshal, I believe that these here are the best possible ways and the most important things to focus on. And so therefore, I believe you should vote Ria Masoni for Grand Marshal tomorrow. Thank you.
Now moving on to the PU candidates. I don't actually know who won so Kat will start.
Hi, so I'm Catherine Phillips, or Kat Phillips, and I'm running for President of the Union. So I also came in fall 2020, just like Ria, and I have been on the executive board every single year since. I joined as a freshman fall of 2020, and there I was able to go through 4 different budgeting cycles, representing different clubs each time. And I've been a voting representative for multiple years on the Student Government Executive Board. I have been Club Operations Chair for the Club Operations Committee. I have been Vice President for Club Relations. I'm also currently the President of the Union. So those are some of the office positions I've had, which would be relevant towards being President of the Union. And I joined the Executive Board initially because I was interested in helping clubs to form, helping clubs to function, helping them be the best that they can. And I was able to find that in the Executive Board, and I hope to be able to continue that, to help our clubs be able to do all that they can, live up to their full potential. So thank you. I hope you let me continue being President of the Union.
Hi everyone, my name is Joseph Bowers. I'm the other one of your 2 candidates for President of the Union. I spent the past year on the executive board working in any way I could to support the numerous clubs, and I'm running for President of the Union because I strongly believe in the importance of the union for student life at RPI, and I want to support it in any way that I can. I believe that my experience on the executive board has prepared me to take on a larger role in student government, and I'm very excited about the prospect of serving the student body in such an important role. My goals as PU, if elected, would be to first increase funding for clubs. Since the start of the pandemic, most clubs have seen a notable increase in funding, have not seen a notable increase in funding. Reserve transfers for clubs have also been on hold for several years. I hope to allow clubs to see an increase in their budgets, as well as the return of reserves. In order to allow for this increase in club funding, my second goal is to increase the revenues of the union, particularly the income from the food service venues inside of the union. This would include filling the vacant stalls in rensselaer, giving everyone more food options on campus. My final goal as president of the union would be to improve the communication of both the union and student government as a whole. I think the union has a lot of room to improve on its communication, and I hope to improve both the communications from the union about its events and activities, as well as overhauling the training given to club officers to make it more accessible for officers that get elected during the academic year. I'm really excited about the potential of serving as PU, and I believe my goals will improve the student experience at RPI. Thank you all for your time tonight, and I look forward to answering all of your questions this evening.
Paul, who won the comparisons for me?
Yes, that would be me. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here. My name is Paul Corey, and I'm a second-year mechanical engineering major with a minor in cognitive science. I've previously served as the representative for the class of 2026, and then the vice president for the class of 2026 council. So a bit of background about my time in student government. I initially actually kind of ended up here on accident. About 8 of my friends wrote me in, and I got an email that I won the election, and I checked it out, and I realized after a couple meetings that this is something I care about. Creating community on campus in particular. I gave it a shot, and I sort of kept on falling upwards. Now I'm looking to step into an even greater responsibility, the undergraduate council president. I've become really invested again in creating community on campus. To the extent where it's kind of become a hobby interest of mine. I mean, I'm reading books about this stuff, and I'm an engineer, so we don't really do that. Yeah, I think you'll find that that's a theme of the campaign of mine, caring about the improving the student experience, from the mundane and the day-to-day to things that might not seem as important, but I believe are important, such as events and rituals. Yeah, I bleed red, rensselaer red. So, and I guess I was going to save some of my platform and goals for the questions, but seeing as the other candidates have already introduced it, I'll begin to introduce that as well. For one, I want to maintain and preserve the successes of the incumbent. I think a lot of great progress has been made in the past year or two, from the increased communication, for instance, the email list, cultivating good relationships, meaningful working relationships with the class presidents and VPs, so outside just weekly meetings to promote a most effective team. Continuing with the training that was introduced, as far as I know, last year at the beginning of the semester for the undergraduate councils, so again, that they can be the most effective bureaucrats in the union. Furthermore, I want to introduce some administrative reforms. I want to capitalize and leverage the fact that there's going to be a new start, and I want to take the time to cultivate a good relationship with them, in particular to achieve 2 goals. Reducing the stifling bureaucracy and paperwork that has far too often killed good ideas before they're even implemented. And also revising the union policy to make funds more accessible for these the class councils, so that we can wrest power back into the hands of the students who are elected to represent the students. And finally, I want to take advantage of the big platform that comes with undergraduate president to engage in some advocacy, and particularly promoting pedestrian safety and walkability on campus. I mean, again, as college students, this is probably one of the most walkable times of our lives, so I find it super important that our campus promotes that. And the proliferation of third spaces, locations that I'll just use the green card. Sure. facilitate social interaction outside of places of work and study, so that we can encourage public relaxation and improve the mental health of the student body passively. And maybe this will just look like expansion of hours of places throughout campus that already exist. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you for your opening statements. Let's get one more round of applause. We are now going to jump straight into the general questions. General questions will be grouped by position and then on a revolving order in by person, except for Paul, who is all alone and therefore will answer every question by himself. Straight for the first Grand Marshal question, which Rhea will answer first. Life on campus today is vastly different from what it was just a few years ago, when we had online classes and weekly COVID-19 testing. The younger classes had radically different experiences than the older classes from the very start. What makes you the right candidate for this moment to represent all class years?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. So I currently am a senior. I've been here for 4 years, and I'll actually stay here for co-term for biology. And I, as the undergraduate president, currently represent all undergraduate students. I meet weekly, almost every day, with students of all class years, from freshmen all the way up through seniors, and I'm actually becoming a graduate student myself, and being able to experience both what it's like as an undergraduate student and now a graduate student gives me what I believe to be the best person, the best candidate for Grand Marshal. Because I understand these issues of what happened just a couple years ago with the COVID pandemic and how things have transitioned since, when Dr. Jackson has now resigned and now Dr. Schmidt is our president, and all of the nuances that come with that. And so being here and having this experience through the past 4 years and going through my entire undergraduate program and now becoming a graduate student makes me what I believe to be the best person to do such. Cool. Yes, thank you for the question, Tim. And to expand on your question, I would also say that Grand Marshal doesn't just represent all classrooms, but also graduate students as well. And so in my position as an independent senator and AAC chair, I have represented those constituencies, limited that I have not been representing those in the life. And so in that experience, I have actively worked with the Graduate Council and with those committees on the Graduate Council to protect and uplift the graduate voice, and making sure that I've been interacting with you guys as students in sending out forms when I have a project. If you guys ever saw a form asking you about, did you have assignments after the last day of classes this last semester in the winter, that was me. We got 445 responses, not too many, but still a really good number, and I was able to convey those responses to the provost and actually am presenting to the faculty senate on those responses. And so in my interaction with you guys and my past experience in advocating for the campus as a whole, I've been working to, that's 30 seconds, right? Yeah, okay. To build upon that experience and represent you guys, everyone on campus, and even better my experience in working to better engage with cultural organizations, Greek life, and those that I was not able to engage with in my past term this past year.
The next question will be for the President of the Union candidates. Joseph, you give your choice. Do you want an easy question or a hard question?
Well, we're going to get to the hard questions at some point, so we might as well start there.
You're going to regret this. The Executive Board is often criticized as resembling a secretive tribunal, especially with respect to how much of each meeting is closed to members of clubs that are being discussed, or even to the entire student body. This is several parts to this. Is this a fair characterization? And how will you promote inclusivity and openness in the Executive Board operations?
Yeah, so I would first of all disagree with the characterization that the E-Board operates largely as closed doors. I feel we have our doors open most of the time. We do, of course, ask clubs to step out while the E-Board discusses the merits of their motion, and that's mostly because we don't want to offend anyone as we do it. I feel that I think that the E-Board does operate openly. However, I think using good communication, as I stated earlier, is one of my goals. I think we need to communicate better what the e-board does. I think we need to communicate better why we make decisions on club's motions. That can be through the e-board rep or through just any member of the e-board that can discuss that. But besides that, I think the e-board does do a good job of operating with them.
So going kind of what Joseph said, I feel like the e-board meetings are very open. Anyone can attend, whether you're a club or not. You can come, you can ask the club questions. If you have a question on what they presented on, it's very open, and I feel like and when it's closed, it's primarily due to reasons that we're not allowed to disclose to the public. So it's usually due to privacy of the club itself. So it shouldn't be open to everyone here if it's financials, because legally we can't disclose certain things until a certain time period. So that's why it's closed off for certain times. And some people happen to come to the meeting where it gets closed more than others. So that could be where the disconnect happened, but overall the meetings are open most of the time, like it's almost never closed, and we always welcome anyone to come to express their opinion, to ask questions, to be involved, and it's just a very open, welcoming atmosphere.
Council Paul, I will add, we also only have specific questions for you.
Great, I'm ready.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. You're running uncontested. Uncontested candidates have been criticized in the past because they're the only option, and therefore might be underqualified or underrepresented. How would you ensure for the student body and the administration you aren't just being handed this position?
That's a great question, Tim. One, I do wish I had some opponents on stage with me, and I wish I had encouraged this more so that I wouldn't just be having a conversation with you, Tim. But what makes me qualified, again, as I mentioned in my introduction, I do have, since I've entered RPI as a freshman, I've had continuous involvement in the councils, in the class, again, first in the class 2026 council, and then as well in the undergraduate council. So I've had an opportunity to make connections with representatives from every single year thus far, and also cultivate relationships with administration in this past year especially. Again, yes, I am the best candidate by virtue of being the only candidate. But beyond that, I think I have what it takes in terms of the leadership qualities to do a good job. Especially relevant to undergraduate council, I believe I'm approachable and gregarious and innovative, and that makes for a very effective team, especially with what we're doing in undergraduate council, to facilitate collaboration and communication between the 4 class councils, and do some interesting and innovative projects for the entire student body.
Thank you. We're now going to return to the Grand Marshal candidates, starting with Vivian. The Rensselaer Union Constitution states the Senate is the chief legislative and policy-making branch of the Union, while the Executive Board can manage the business affairs of any and all facilities operated by the Rensselaer Union. In your opinion, to what extent can the Senate create policy concerning the Union? How should conflicts between the Senate policy and the Executive Board operations be handled?
How are current disagreements being handled?
I will repeat the question. In your opinion, to what extent can the Senate create policy concerning the Union? How should conflicts between the Senate policy and the Executive Board operations be handled?
Thank you. So I'm currently running with the President of the Union, Kat Phillips, because we have a shared vision for an open communication between the boards and making sure that the conflicts between the boards are not us against each other, but us against the problem, right? The entire student government should be fighting to better the student experience, and the executive board might have a different opinion on that because they have different expertise. The Senate also acts as the main advocacy body on campus because we handle a lot of external communication and we're all elected by the students. And so in working with the executive that the student used and pushed to make sure that while the executive board has their expertise in the financials and into the business operations aspect of it, that the student views and student groups are being interacted with and making sure that they're in the room and that their perspectives are being advocated for, especially because members of the board are appointed and confirmed by the Senate. And so having that check with Senate members being directly elected, I think that is our duty to make sure that those views are coming across, and then conflicts solved between open communication and making sure that our goals are aligned as boards at the beginning of our terms, making sure that we both know what we want to accomplish.
The union policy, while yes, it is set by the executive board, technically, however, the student senate and grand marshal do actually have a bit of power to hold checks on the executive board and vice versa. The Rensselaer Union Guidelines and Procedures, or RUGP, are a document that essentially outlines major policies within the union. And this is something that actually the Grand Marshal can approach and make amendments to with the President of the Union and the Executive Board. So that's one way in which union policy can actually be changed and influenced by the GM. The Senate also has a liaison on the Executive Board who advocates for them. So this liaison will speak up at those meetings and also speak with both boards and discuss the things that are happening between them, which will help mitigate any sorts of conflicts that may arise. Additionally, there's also a couple different joint committees between Senate and the Executive Board that actually operate together to make these sorts of policies and changes. However, it is deferred to the Executive Board for the majority of some of these policies. And in terms of conflict, I've been the undergraduate president and I've had to manage and have difficult conversations between different boards before. I work with Kat actually right now, currently in our positions. And being able to do so and resolve these in a respectful and appropriate manner is something that I actually pride myself in. So thank you.
Now back to the President of the Union. Another hard question. This is for Pat. General question, just starting with Pat. Recently, the Executive Board has granted affiliation to several controversial political clubs. This breaks a long-standing taboo against political clubs and violates past legislation against political organizations. Do you support this trend? Why or why not? How will you ensure that the political biases of the Executive Board do not identify with favoring one side of the political spectrum?
Yeah, so first of all, I have a correction. There were several. There was a singular club, which became a club, which was considered controversial. And that club was having to do with the conflict in Palestine. And it was a group of students who wanted to just voice their concerns for the movement. They wanted to peacefully protest. They didn't want to inhibit anyone else. They just wanted themselves to be able to gather and talk about the issue. And they followed the club policy that every single club has to take. They went to the club operations committee. They then said why they want to be a club. They filled out all necessary documentation. The club operations committee went through all their documentation, made sure that it was following all our policies within the union, made sure it could include anyone on campus, no matter who they are, and they did not violate any of our policies. So then when they came to the board, we had discussion on the merits of having to be a club, and considering they followed all the rules, they did what they're supposed to, we had no reason to oppose them like any other club. If they come to us and we see no reason to oppose them, then they can become a club. We give them the same rights, the same opportunity as any club that wants to form on campus. And as their political club, they are affiliated, meaning they cannot be funded by the union. They can only be affiliated. So, yeah. And we have had other political clubs in past years, but not any recently.
Yeah, so I largely agree with what Kat said. When the motion came forward for this particular club, the E-Board, which to be clear, even though the president of the union is the leader of the executive board is not just the president of the union. So there were lots of voices in this room to help make this decision. And we had a very lengthy debate about this particular club. What the decision we came to is that it appeared they intended to do no harm. They simply wanted to discuss the conflict and express their views in a non-disruptive and peaceful manner. We felt that that was appropriate. As Kat said, we also did only grant them union affiliation, not union recognition, which is a stepping stone for funding, because that is the precedent that the union has set for politically minded clubs. So I feel that this isn't necessarily a trend from the executive board. I feel that this was a single club that came forward, demonstrated that they were reasonable and that they should be a club, and I think that was the correct decision.
Thank you. Another targeted question to Paul. In fact, I think all of these are targeted, actually. It's interesting. In the late 2010s, the undergraduate council was reformed to be more formal after criticism of ineffectiveness, and because of that, it gained more legitimacy in the eyes of the administration and students. You talked in your Poly article about how the current UP is too formal, and you would like to move away from that. Can you expand on your thought process there, and what effects, both positive and negative, you think it will have?
Sure. I think the first clarification I'd want to make is not that I criticized council for currently being too formal, but rather too procedural. And that ties into something I said in my introduction about how a lot of progress and a lot of sincere work is stifled by excessive paperwork. Difficult, chains of command you have to follow in order to get anything done. And to some extent, just the formality of proceedings when they don't have to be. I think outward-facingly, it's good to be, to put on that, project that image, of course, to reinforce the legitimacy of the work we're doing, especially when we're meeting with administration. But I feel personally that if we're prioritizing efficiency of getting things done, which for me is ultimately the most important thing, relaxing some of these restrictions is the best course of action. And I don't plan to make any drastic changes on how UC is run. I just want to optimize the general meetings so that, again, to prioritize getting things done. And I hope to work with the administration, the union administration, and New Start to maybe cut down on some of the procedures we have to follow.
Thank you. So that's going to mark the end of our general questions section. Is everyone still having fun up here? Is our audience still enjoying yourselves? Are we excited for targeted questions? So, who went last? Ria. Student government is often criticized for seeking more power for its bureaucracy, but little should show for it in practice. In your platform, you suggest that student government should be more involved in institute administration, such as attending more meetings of the Board of Trustees than its members currently do. Should you be granted such power, how would it affect everyday student lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. So specifically in terms of granting more power to the students, the Save the Union protest happened a couple years ago, which you all may all know the history of, but the student union used to make all of the rules. We're up there, there's students up there right now who are working up in the admin office, and all of us are really involved and dedicated to improving the student experience for all. That being said, in 2008, the Board of Trustees had student representatives on their Student Life Committee and their Finance Committee. And these student representatives were then removed under Dr. Jackson's administration. And since then, the representative on the Student Life Committee...
We're focusing largely on the financial aspect, which, as the president of the union, is the chief financial officer of the union. I feel that should be my priority. And so what I would ultimately say is it's up to the voters, is where do you think the union's priorities should lie? I believe mine align closely with what most of the voters want. And so I would say if you believe that my priorities are the union's highest priorities, then I would encourage you to vote for me.
Kat, it's a matter of public record that during your confirmation by the Senate, it was a troublesome time. The Senate with approving executive board appointments. How do you interpret that authority? Do you believe the Senate should have the right to approve executive board members?
I believe that it is very important for the Senate to be able to approve executive board members because the president of the union is one person. They're interviewing many people whenever they send out applications to then get e-board members. They don't know all of them, so they don't necessarily know everything about the candidate when they send them to Senate to be approved. So Senate does an extra vetting process. So if there's a question that the president of the union might have forgotten to ask when in the application process, then it might come to light of something they didn't even know. And that way the Senate can make a decision whether or not they still deem that candidate worthy. And also the executive board isn't like almighty, the Senate's not almighty, neither is the UC. We all work together to check and balances so that no one has control over everything. Also, if the president were to put unfit candidates, like just all their friends on the cabinet, that won't really be good for student government. So having the Senate approve or disapprove them. It's a necessary check for the Senate to be able to say yes or no towards voting representatives on the executive board, or succession procedures to say yes or no on the president of the union who comes in partway through another's term after the end.
It's been brought to my attention, we actually skipped it. My apologies. Vivian. Student government is often criticized for being an exclusive organization, where you can only really gain power if you are in. Recently, current Grand Marshal Ben Viner endorsed your campaign. How do you think this will affect the perception of student government?
Thank you for the question, Tim. And so I want to address the first part of your question as well. I recognize that this is an issue within the connection between student government and the regular students. In doing that, I want to make sure that my committees are actively engaging with student groups on campus, whether that be identity groups or mission-oriented groups, that I want them to be kind of similar to the club reps on e-board and interacting with those groups so that student groups can be represented and also advocated for by those committees as well, so that we can combine forces as a whole student body rather than 7 million people trying to do different things, which is all great, and they should all be doing 7 million different things, but if the Senate can provide any support or connection between student groups and administration, I want to do that. And I think the endorsement by Ben, the current Grand Marshal, will not, I can see how it can be misconstrued, but I do think that is within the Grand Marshal's right to endorse someone that they think is the best candidate. They are the most experienced person on campus to nominate someone for that position. I think that it might be perceived as someone that is just getting moved into that position, but since there is an election and it is up to you guys, and he is not the only person that has endorsed me, so as the Polytechnic and the Sunrise Movement, those bodies on campus have indicated that they believe that I'm the best for that position, and I think that's best supported by also the person currently in that position. And so I can understand how that might be construed, and I don't want that to be the face of it, but I can understand that, and I hope that is not the case.
Rhea, you've used your red card. You have 1 minute to respond.
Yes, so this is obviously a big issue that's actually come up within student government as a whole, because the current leaders and current officers of the union should not be picking their successors. You should be picking your successors, who you want to see, who you think is fit for office. And no matter if Ben endorsed my opponent or not, that isn't what the problem is. The problem is the fact that the officer of the union, the Grand Marshal, is using their power to select one candidate over another. And while, yes, they may be in the position, and they're obviously going to know what it is to be Grand Marshal and what that requires, however, by endorsing one candidate over another, they're discouraging others from getting involved. And student government as a whole has been criticized for being cliquey, and we already struggle at times to get people involved and motivated because of that. Because it is hard for others to actually recognize and find ways to get involved, because it at times doesn't feel open. And so as part of being Grand Marshal, I hope that I can actually make student government more open and accessible to all. But yeah.
1 second. Paul. Your predecessor, Ria, was UP.
Correct.
It's natural and often necessary to learn from your predecessor. But when that person is still involved in student government, it could lead to a combination and enmeshment of roles and responsibilities. Assuming you and Ria both win, you'll be governing alongside her. How would you prevent the role of undergraduate president becoming diluted or overtaken by the Grand Marshal?
That's something I didn't consider. That's I gotta commend who's ever writing these questions. Well, I guess I just won't let her take too much responsibility. I'll assert, once all the class councils are elected, I will immediately reach out to all the vice presidents and presidents of the individual classes and start forming my own relationship with them, setting up these meetings, and promptly convey my priorities for the upcoming year and my goals. And sure, I'll adopt some, again, like I said, I'll adopt some of the successes Ria has implemented, but I'm immediately also going to start pursuing my own goals. And I think I'm not worried about that. Yep, thank you.
I hope you will continue to think these questions are well written, because the next section is the lightning round. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to respond to questions and may not use their green card or their red card. We're gonna try and keep the mood a little bit tense here. The first question, and each candidate, regardless of position, will respond to the same question. We'll start with Vivian and we'll move across to Joseph and back. Martin H. Schmidt took office July 1st, 2022, as many of you know. What would you guess is his favorite color and why?
Rensselaer red. That's a hard one. I feel like he would tell you that it's obviously red, but in reality, he feels like someone that gives off blue vibes.
I can't really explain it, but I know he loves orange. I remember, I don't think it's red, because I remember he was talking about his former employer, MIT, and he couldn't remember they were crimson or whatever. And, he wears those red ties, but that's just because he has to. It's orange, and if you know, you know.
I don't want to seem like I'm copying, but I was also thinking orange. Because, I don't know, it just seems kind of like he has a fun, bright personality, like very bubbly, wanting like to be there for students walking around. And, I don't know, he just has like a nice aura, so I think that kind of emanates the orange color, and that may be why he likes orange.
Yeah, so I think because, of course, RPI isn't just Dr. Schmidt's current employer, so to speak, it's also his alma mater. I think it has to be red.
No, I do not have the answer to that. We unfortunately weren't able to get a comment, no response to our emails about that. Since Union Showtech is very creative with the lights tonight, what is the worst color? What is the worst color and why?
I would say brown. I don't know anyone that really likes brown, so...
Expecting something now.
And good luck, Showtechs, with getting that light up.
I'd say like the yellowy, browny, greenish color of like, once you see something you ate again, because that's not the most pleasant of colors, and it just makes everyone feel queasy and uneasy, and I don't think that color should be just like in a wide area at once.
I don't think any colors are worse than any others. I think all of reality is beautiful. It all comes together. Context matters, and sometimes colors don't, if I was wearing like a bright yellow shirt, it would look kind of odd on me. And some colors wash out my face, so I gotta watch out for that. But in general, look how beautiful all those flags are together, It all works. All colors are great, no bad color.
feel like the worst color's definitely got to be like a solid gray, something boring, droll, drab. Like there's nothing to it. And you know, in the dorms, like those off-white gray walls, like it's specifically that color during the quarantines. I know some of you older people remember those 4 weeks that we spent one semester looking at those same gray walls. That color is the worst color.
So it's gonna seem a little bit targeted at the last question, but I would, my least favorite color is orange. But only because that's, the room that I took piano lessons in when I was younger was like bright orange, and it's like a bit of a traumatic time in my life. So bright orange, I think, there's too much of it in that space, and it should be limited in its use.
For the next question, I'm going to need the candidates to grab their placards. I will be calling on the candidates in the order at which I see your placards. There are 5 of you up here. There are 5 schools at RPI. What are they? I saw Rhea first. Name one.
Oh, School of Science. School of Engineering.
Haas is correct. Joseph.
Business or Lolly?
Lolly School of Management. That is impressive. I could not do that. No, you don't need your placards anymore. One more fun lightning question. Just gonna pick up the list. Being able to communicate well with administrators is an important part of the job. Which administrator looks like they could give the most eye-roll inducing dad joke? Please be aware that we've been told the administrators are watching this live stream. We'll start with Vivian and go back.
The most eye-roll inducing dad joke?
Yes.
Provost storage.
Wow.
You can also elaborate in your 30 seconds.
She's had some funny jokes.
This is actually a hard question. I feel like there's a couple different administrators that give some good dad jokes, but I feel like the last one I remember specifically was John Kolb a couple days ago gave a pretty good dad joke, but also Mike Ramella. If you guys are watching, pretty solid jokes.
I'm gonna have to say Peter Konworski. All right, you guys know. I mean, if you ever seen a picture of him smiling, which is probably every picture of him out there, you could tell he's got a good joke in his back pocket, locked and loaded. Just a guy who exudes the energy of chuckling. I was about to say cuddling, not cuddling. Chuckling.
I'd say probably Ramella because, I don't know, kind of gives me like vibes of like, ready to like just pop a joke, like they want like you approach them, then like kind of like in the mood.
Since you didn't specify institute or union administration, I'm going to switch to union administration. Will O'Brien just had a kid, and so I think by nature he has to be able to tell a pretty good dad joke.
And with that, the first half of our debates are over. One last round of applause for all our candidates, please. We're now going to move to a short break. To give the candidates a chance to breathe, please everyone, if there's still some free food, please make sure you go over there and get it. Thank you again to Amicus Parties. Also, please take the opportunity to submit your questions to the Google form. There will be an opportunity also to ask questions live. Candidates are now free to go back. We will play back into the alma mater in roughly 5 minutes.
Excuse me, if you lost a pair of car keys, they're up here with us at the lighting and sound board. If you lost a pair of car keys, they're up here with us at the lighting and sound board.
RPI GM Week Debates. I have before me the audience questions in Google form, followed off the admin printer, and we will also be taking live questions from the audience. The first question comes with a special request from the graduate president. So the graduate president, please, later. So we're going to start with an audience question. If anyone would like to answer the audience questions, please form an orderly queue over by Gabriel. If not, we will proceed to vetted questions. Starting with a vetted question. What are some things that you plan to do or can do to improve the experience of queer and trans students at RPI? And that's addressed to everyone. So we'll start going this way. Because everyone had its answering, I'm going to say a minute.
Thank you for the question. It is totally a great question to ask because it's something that's been overlooked, I would say, and has not made a priority. I actually have a meeting with some of the people from Rainbow Alliance next week already scheduled to discuss that, but regardless or not, come very much so. It is still something that I'm interested in and want to help advocate for, so I have that meeting already arranged. I think also I'm currently working on a committee that is looking to improve spaces to help students align their identities with those spaces and connect with those physical spaces and allow for that emotional space to be in that space, not to repeat the word. But I would want to reach out to them and work through that and make sure that they're involved in that process, specifically with their spaces and all spaces on campus, and make sure that they have protected emotional space as well as physical space on campus. So making sure that they're there and involved in the process.
Yes, that's a really great question. Being a queer student myself, someone who identifies with the community, I fully understand what it is like to be an RPI student, and the culture around being queer and trans at RPI is definitely not unique to us, but not an inclusive environment. And as Grand Marshal, part of what I want to focus on is ensuring that there are supports in place for people like me, people that struggle, with either friends, classes, professors. There's tons of discrimination that goes on, and none of it really gets addressed. And so part of it is, one, creating support for them, resources, services that can actually help them, more so than just providing, the bare minimum. Creating spaces for those students to meet and discuss. There are a couple clubs, and those clubs do their best. However, there should be a full space for them, meeting with them, discussing more, talking in classes about LGBTQ+ topics, making sure that people are talking about this. This isn't something like we ignore, and working to reform the current curriculum, educating students on the culture, going beyond just the bare minimum surface level topics, really discussing what it means to be queer, what it means to be trans, and how you should be respecting these individuals as a person. So those are the things.
Thank you. And again, I'd like to echo what the previous, what Vivian and Rhea mentioned. Great question. I think focusing on the responsibilities of undergraduate president, one thing I uniquely can do is collaborate with these pre-existing student clubs, LGBTQ student clubs, and collaborate with them to host events as they see fit. Let them lead this effort. I don't think, I should be doing it on my own. In this, I definitely have to defer to people who it's more relevant to, and give them that sort of platform and safe space. If they have any activities that they feel will be beneficial for the student body or for members of the student body that are in that community, I will definitely work with them and fully collaborate to bring forth those sort of events and activities.
Yeah, so as everyone else has mentioned, it's a great question. So when it pertains to clubs, I feel that if a student who identifies with the community feels that they might not be represented in that club, or maybe they feel uncomfortable underrepresented, they can come to an e-board meeting and express that, or if they'd rather do it confidentially, they could reach out to their e-board representative, or SARP, or even the president of the union. Like, even RPI goes out to whoever is looking at the current time. Doesn't matter if it changes or not, the current queue will then receive an email there. So if they have any concern, they can always reach out. And then if they have any concern about the student union itself, the facilities, like it might not be inclusive to the dealer center or the union itself, they could also mention that and bring it to our attention so we could address anything that might not be, might not be right, or maybe a way to make it more accommodating or comfortable for these individuals, because we don't always understand like every struggle that they might have. So if they bring it to our attention, we could do our best to address that.
Yeah, so I think the way that the president of the union, as well as the executive board as a whole, can support these groups is through clubs, which there already are a few on campus, and we would certainly be happy. I'd be happy to see the motions come forward to make more people feel they're currently underrepresented on campus. Besides that, I think as president of the union, I would certainly look to make sure that these groups are getting all the support they need. I would be happy to have a discussion if they feel they're not, and make sure that the clubs and just these groups in general are able to feel accepted and that they have a safe space.
Okay, will there be live questions?
Yeah.
Oh, you?
Here, come stand up, stand up.
Let's stand up. So this is more of a general question, if any of you guys want to answer it. The reason I'm asking it today, I actually wasn't going to go today until an event that occurred today to me, and I've been working on it for a while. It's been 3 months. It's an accessibility question, just to preface it, right? For a good 3 months, I've been emailing Fix, so as other handicapped students, to fix some of the issues when it comes to handicap. The button's not even working, and every single time we go through this process of emailing anyone in administration to do anything, they just say, oh, it will be fixed, it will be fixed. And they just said to stop emailing. And this is not just an issue that just happens repeatedly. It's like, I feel at some level, there's no intersection between the student government and the administration that chooses to ignore these issues over and over again. Just today, we try to open the door, he drops all his food, right? He can't walk, right? He's waiting to press the button, he's trying to open it. And I'm sitting there watching this happen and coming over and saying that we can do something, but there's nothing being done. And I wonder if any of you will find a better way to communicate to this administration, to communicate as well as effectively for groups that can't or are not being advocated for in general. Just interested in your perspectives on talking with the administration.
Are we running in order, or can I just...
We were going to answer. I saw these time first.
Yes, thank you for the question, Leo. And it's a great question and can be expanded beyond, is it working? Yeah, I think so. Beyond just wheelchair accessibility, but also the classroom that we share is not accessible at all to people in wheelchairs or with disabilities, or people that have come injured mid-year or mid-term, right? And so actually this year we had our first accessibility walk that was hosted by the Facilities and Services Committee, headed by Raymond, who's in the audience, where we were able to walk around with some students from the disabled students at RPI, as well as people from the health center, and actually did our best to try to go click all the wheelchair buttons and make sure that they worked. And we were assured that they would be fixed. And I believe some were tested after they were reported that they were broken, and then they were fixed after a bit. But that's, thank you for bringing that up. That's some of them haven't been fixed, and some of them that your voice is not being heard. I'm sorry that you had experienced that. I'm sorry that you had to see other people experience that, and other people are experiencing that as well. That's something that I think is definitely a potential problem of just like that help not being there, that support not being there, that acknowledgement not being there. I would want to personally work with anyone that's in that issue and use a student voice, or even reinforce with other administration that that is a top priority of the students at RPI and the institute as a whole as well.
Yeah, so this is a huge issue. I've spoken with a bunch of different students with disabilities. People actually are working on a ton of different projects related to this. However, that being said, this shouldn't be something that students necessarily have to do. Yes, obviously, it's terrible that this is something students go through, that they can't get to their classes, they physically cannot get there, and there are no support systems in place to help them in those situations when they can't open the door or they can't go down a hill. And while obviously we can walk around campus and we can try our very best to identify all the locations that are not accessible, which is what a number of different clubs and student groups are actually working on right now. However, working with the administration, this is not something we can do alone. As Dr. Schmidt spoke about actually today in the town hall, there are a bunch of different campus renovations that are being planned. There are a bunch of different renovations being planned and to fix a number of the facilities. And so as part of that, as Grand Marshal, I would advocate that these facilities need to be accessible to our students and you need to take student input. So I know some clubs have done something just a couple weeks ago, like the No Stair Day Challenge, where they ask people to just don't use stairs all day and see how difficult it is for students with disabilities to get around. And I know there's an app actually that they developed to outline ways in which you can get around that don't involve stairs. And so while student groups have been doing a great job, as Grand Marshal, it is our responsibility to represent students and to meet with administrators and ensure that we are working with them and they are addressing the issue on their behalf. And so that would be the biggest thing.
Yeah, even as a representative on the councils, I have heard this complaint numerous times from colleagues and peers. It's got to be one of the top, complaints fielded when I do informal polls of the student body. And it cannot be overstated how important this is in the list of priorities. Ultimately, I think this is a challenge best tackled by Senate, but to the extent that I can, as undergraduate president, in my interactions with administration, I will certainly advocate for these new renovations that Rita just brought up to keep in mind the challenges of all of the disabilities and their specific needs.
Mine is answer the question. I can move on. Okay. Let's move to some questions that appear to be targeted. I'm going to assume so. Rhea, assuming this is targeted to you. The Common Party has endorsed you. How do you respond to the claim that your roommate, and in a sense of the name, constructed its political parties simply to endorse you?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So the Common Party, we are a group of students, not just candidates, all running together under one goal to promote inclusive governance. And this is something that we sort of shared as a whole. And it's not just students that are running or involved in student government, but people outside of student government. And so, yes, I will say my roommate actually is a part of this, and she's been a huge advocate and huge help in some of the things that the Common Party is working on. However, that being said, there's a number of other students that are involved that aren't as outspoken or as comfortable coming up here on the stage and speaking for students. And so while there are individuals, like my roommate, for example, and some of my other friends involved, there's so many different people in all branches of student government, all different schools and all across the institution that are involved. So we're hoping that as a collective we form really advocate for students not only within student government but outside of it.
As a sophomore, you're facing the upcoming March program. Will you be on campus for both fall and spring semester in the coming term if elected? If not, why should you be elected if you will only be active for half the upcoming term? And what is your plan to ensure the integrity of the position for the full duration of your term?
Thank you, and yes, it's an excellent question. And so yes, I'm a sophomore and my March status is still TBD. I'm not yet confirmed here exempt, but regardless, if I miss the summer and I'm not here for the summer, the Senate usually has like a sleepless statement on how much work is being on campus. And I would miss either the first 2 months of my, well, kind of semi-first quarter, but first 2 months of my term or the last 2 months. As if I'm here on campus, I would like to, I think that's a benefit. I mean, everyone complains about the arch and there are some serious problems that need to be fixed, and so rather than doing it retroactively after they're occurring, being on campus, being to advocate not just with students that are on arch, but also with the grad students that are here year-round, it is essential that they're being advocated for by the Senate, and that the Senate is not just not doing anything with the summer, but is actively participating with the students on campus and engaging with them. And so if I'm here for arch, then I'm going to be using this. I will be here not in the spring, and the way that that is going to be verified or selected, my next successor is going to be selected, it's actually up to you guys. There's an amendment that you guys get to vote on Thursday that will decide whether or not just members of the Senate are eligible to be my successor or members of the entire union. And so here we have, as an example, I'm just going to use Rhea. And so if Rhea had been wanting to be the president of the union when AUA switched mid-semester this time, she would not have been eligible because she was not on the executive board. However, with this new amendment, that opens the successor for either board to be open to the remainder of the union. And so Rhea could nominate or could come to the board or for the Senate for me and say, hey, I'm fit for this position, please nominate me to fill that role. And so that would be up to you guys, and then it gets nominated by a majority of the Senate and then has to be confirmed by the two-thirds of the Senate. And so that was done successfully with Kat, who was in the union, and I believe it could be done successfully for the Senate. And I would make sure that, as I said, that there are frameworks for projects already in place and that I would be accessible to people.
Good evening, live question, Taylor.
Yep, got one question. Okay. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Anna. All of you guys know me. But my question is about dining and specifically for students with dietary restrictions. It is very well known on campus that RPI has not been performing to the level they should be for students with dietary restrictions. And I want to know from both of the GM candidates and also the UP candidate, what are your plans for improving and attacking this issue?
I can go first. And so thank you for bringing up that issue, Anna. It has been attempted to be worked on consistently this year by our HSAC committee and working with VP Ronella and working to improve dietary restriction access on campus and making sure that that is getting better. I haven't seen too much success, and as GM, I want to make sure that the exemption process for getting off the meal plan is also being eased and making sure that you guys don't have to go through a million steps to get off of that plan. I know I've spoken to you about that personally, but also making sure that there are dietary options offered to fathers and downstairs, working with the executive board and choosing what replaces Ben & Jerry's. That space is now open, making sure that that is also open and those options are available to students with dietary restrictions, and making that accessible to you guys as well.
I can go next. So I actually have food allergies myself. It's a walnut. Super severe. I completely understand where you're coming from and how it can be hard to find food that's safe to eat in the dining halls, which is a huge problem. And so, like Vivian said, I do agree that it's important that in those situations, currently, those students are able to be exempt from the meal plan, given that it is hard to find options to eat. But that's not a long-term solution. You shouldn't have the issue where you're going to a dining hall and can't find food. Additionally, part of the issue is in that the food that is there, there's an app, you can see all the ingredients, but it's not updated, and a lot of the time the information in there is correct. So it's working through the Student Senate's hospitality services and advisory committee, HSAC, to ensure that we're advocating and meeting with Director Ronella to ensure that these students have food that is safe at all the dining halls, and ensure that there are more food options available beyond just using the current, oh my gosh, what's the room in Commons that is available to all?
Likewise, I do completely sympathize with the struggles of this. For religious reasons, I do find myself once a week having dietary restrictions. Of course, this is not the same extent of struggles many students are facing. but it does allow me to sympathize with this. Not to be unoriginal, but I think Vivian brought up one of the most realistic ideas, paths towards improving the experience of students with any sort of dietary restriction, which would be to ease the, or to more readily grant exceptions from the meal plan. I can see that their administration may even be trending towards a sort of more relaxation and openness with this. For example, with the ARCH summer exemptions, like now it's a more official thing. So I think riding that wave of these loosening restrictions and advocating for that in particular, I'll definitely advocate for that.
So that question is addressed to the GM and UP candidates. This next question, I'm going to inject a little bit of my own personal bias because I saw the PU candidates being happy they weren't being questioned over there. So we're going to pick out 3 questions from the audience questions for that. This is for both PU candidates. I recently had a conversation with a club officer whose club has decided to disassociate with the union after frustration with financial bureaucracy and lack of quick communication from the current board. Once elected, how will you address this? Either candidate first.
Yeah, so there is a lot of paperwork involved right now with making even a $5 purchase in the union. Some of that, unfortunately, there's not much we can do. That's just required by the Institute's procurement services. But there is a lot of it that we can work to either digitize or just simply streamline. I actually was having a conversation with a few people about this today. One of our goals for next year is to improve the use of Oscar, which is sort of RPI's procurement software, and make that more accessible to all club officers. It's really valuable for being able to sort of expedite the procurement process, and it also makes all of the SARP's lives easier, which is a nice added bonus. So that would be what I would look to do, is sort of streamline those processes to the largest extent that we can without violating policies that the procurement office has.
Could you repeat the question real quick?
I recently had a conversation with a club officer whose club has decided to disassociate with the union after frustration with the financial bureaucracy and lack of quick communication from the current board. Once elected, how will you address this?
So I'd say that I would make sure to engage all clubs that maybe go to a financial workshop at the beginning of the fiscal year, in which the clubs go and learn about the financial processes of the union. So they learn how to operate, how to buy stuff, how to use the memo, how to do everything. Because this is basically a workshop where you learn how to do all that. And if the club misses or maybe doesn't pay attention during it, it can be a struggle to figure out how to work around the union processes. It might have to then take more time out of their life to then go speak to SARP, learn the process again, to get more efficient with it. And I heard Joseph, there's a lot of paperwork, but we can't really avoid that much paperwork for reliability's sake, so we have to make sure that they know how to do it so that it's more efficient and streamlined, so that they can actually buy what they need to. And make sure that they are familiar with the process so that they can actually complete the process. And if the club decides that they don't like the process at which it takes to acquire stuff through us, they could seek to disassociate with the union, and it can be something called sunset, so they can no longer be recognized by the union.
One last audience question. It's an important question, so I'm going to ask all candidates to answer this. We'll go from Vivian down to Joseph. Does the student government have any real power to make change? Why does it feel like that?
Yes, excellent question. It's a difficult question because I struggle with it myself, but the student government does have power. The student union is student run. It's not to the fullest extent that it used to be, but we still do have power in making decisions and enforcing the union constitution, as well as being an advocate between students and administration. Our power comes a lot from the fact that we are elected and are elected ambassadors on behalf of the students. A lot of that power comes from when people like you guys go to elections and put in your vote and making sure that you're actually representing the the student body as a whole. And yes, we do have power, and I would encourage everyone to run for student government position if any of this interests you, and you can be you can be written in as well. So I encourage you to do that.
Yes, this is kind of a loaded question, but the student government as a whole does have power, and there's a lot that we've actually been able to accomplish. And so just myself on the undergraduate council, I've seen on the ARCH side of things how we've been able to, for one, make it so the exemption process is no longer an exemption, it's now more so an option. So you can actually choose to do like a summer internship. You can also, there's a ton of things we've done in terms of like doing research. That's now allowed here every semester, increasing resources. And so students in student government, these are just a few short examples, do have the power to make these sorts of changes. Some bigger policy changes involve like the student handbook. The signing policy that is in the handbook was actually something that Senate was a Senate project. And so we do have this power, and a lot of the reason why it doesn't feel like that is because you don't hear about it so much. We don't really advertise too well about all of the good things and successes we have. And so that is something that I hope as Grand Marshal to actually increase, sending out monthly emails and updates about what we do, what we accomplish, and so you can see all of the ways in which students do have the power to make change.
Yeah, meaningful change is slow, and it's bound to be. To answer the question directly, yes, I do believe student government does have power. But I think more often than not, it's a sort of soft power of influence and of having an audience with the administration who ultimately makes most of the final decisions on things. But don't underestimate that. Having direct contact with the ultimate decision makers is incredibly important. And I think in the future, again, I think we have the potential to re-empower the union and make it, maybe make that power a bit more solid as well.
So I feel like student government actually does have power, and I take the executive board, for example. We help clubs to actually exist, to function, to operate, and clubs are a core part of the student body. It helps them meet like-minded people, make friends, and to express what makes them special. And if the executive board in this past semester, if we take that alone, we have helped 5 clubs reallocate funds so that they could do different activities that they want to do. We've helped 6 new clubs to form. We have helped 9 clubs gain additional subsidy towards different programs in their budget. We have helped 2 new clubs who were new last semester to gain funding. We have helped new programs to be added to clubs' budgets and stuff they can do, and we have also helped special room requests to help clubs hold bigger events in this room because you can only hold events at certain times, so if the club wants to meet outside that time, we help them to be able to do so.
Yeah, so I think as student government, we do have a fairly substantial amount of power on campus. As president of the union, I'm going to focus mostly on the power that we have with the union, both physically as well as our ability to sort of allow clubs to do all sorts of things. We have so many clubs on campus that do all sorts of things, and it's really awesome that we're able, just as students, to decide, hey, we think that these clubs should exist because people on campus have shared interests that they want to enjoy together. Additionally, this physical building is a testament to the power that student government has because this building is student-run. It was students that decided we were allowed to set up stage here and have this debate today. It was students that set up and planned all of the awesome activities we had this week for GM Week. And so I think it's really, we have a lot of power to make the student experience at RPI great. Does student government have as much power as we'd like it to have? Probably not, but we have a lot of power that we're able to use.
Hi everyone, my name is Kunti Sharma. I'm part of the Sunrise Movement, a progressive climate group on campus working towards legislative and policy solutions to combat the climate crisis. So my question is about the Office of Sustainability. Right now on campus there are 0 paid staff that work on sustainability issues. How can we make sure that we use our power to lighten the load from sustainability clubs that have been fighting for this for years? I personally have been advocating advocating for this for the past 4 years. So how will you, I'm basically targeting this towards Rhea and Vivian, advocate on behalf of us and also with us for a sustainable industry?
In the interest of time, I'm going to ask the two of you to answer to this shorter.
So I think this is a super important issue. It's actually something that's come up during our monthly student meetings with the president and provost. At the time, it was something that Dr. Schmidt had mentioned that he hadn't really considered as a possibility. However, he was open to discussing it. And while discussions are one thing, we definitely need to actually advocate for it and make sure that this is a huge priority because we need a central place for all these sorts of clubs to go to. And so ensuring, hopefully, with having a student rep on the Board of Trustees Finance Committee, that would go a long way, ensuring that there is money in our budget for this Office of Sustainability is one huge thing. But even without it, there are ways in which we can actually centralize some of the efforts, but it shouldn't be honest. And so it really comes down to advocating and pushing for that strategy.
Thank you, Rhea. I want to say that I am wholeheartedly supporting this mission, and I know I already discussed with a few professors in the SDS department about some plans to make this in the works. And I know that currently there is already a proposal that was submitted to create, to transfer Vasuda into a sustainability hub and create a formal director of that, and to formalize that soon. And I know that's been in discussion with some of the administration here on campus. I don't want to dox them because I don't know what's public knowledge, but I would have a conversation with you guys directly. Okay. But yes, starting with that and then going from there and starting to have a formal director or formal pay for the institute and formal institute support into your missions, and then creating the Office of Sustainability and working with administration to create that from there.
Okay. That has been the marking end for our audience and live questions section for tonight. Everyone have a good time? Enjoying the questions? Good. We're going to try and wrap this up quickly. I have homework, so I can hear Sasha, and I don't want to have to face Sasha tomorrow, so yes, Sasha, you may ask a great question.
Thanks, everyone. I know we were too many questions in too little time. I apologize.
I just want to, thanks so much, I appreciate it. So, quick question for the GM and the new candidates for the Graduate Council. Oh, sorry. All right, then the GM guys. So you've both talked about addressing issues with the graduate community, getting closer together with them. But to what comes before implementation of different measures is to knowing what the problems are. And but we've talked about this in the Senate a lot. Even before problems, the problems arise from different processes that involve. So can you speak from your perspective to show your understanding of the graduate community, to your understanding how is the graduate process different from the undergraduate processes in terms of to which problems it leads, but please focus on the process itself. Thank you.
I can start with this one. So I think some of the biggest things that graduates are really focused on that are maybe not the same for undergraduates, for one, is going to be the stipend. Your whole funding comes typically from either being TA or from research, and you're not getting a whole lot of money. You're not getting paid. And so living off of such a small amount as is really hard and really tough. And so for one, there's that. But also, as a part of that, you only have a small amount of money to find a place to live off campus. And some of that's a little similar to undergrads. There's that. In addition to that, also TAs have to work and they don't have set hours. And there's no really restriction for that. And graduate students tend to not feel recognized within the union, and it's not a place that they feel is open to them. They don't actively come to events. Most of them aren't a part of clubs. And so those are just some of the ways that it's really different. And being a graduate student, you're focused on research, and it's, I guess we didn't cut out here, but.
Yes, thank you, Sasha, for the question. I want to focus on the last question you asked about the process. And I know in my conversation with you guys and the grad council that a lot of the process is getting money and being relying relying on your PI and the grants that they supply in their work as well, and relying that they're staying on campus and that they're dedicated to supporting you through your entire time here at RPI, and that leaves you guys in a bit of a vulnerable position, being completely reliant on another person, and that it is necessary for the GM to support you guys in your transition from coming from your other school into RPI and understanding the resources that you have on RPI, but also supporting you guys on campus and making sure that there are clubs available for you guys and making sure that you are represented in the cabinet and also in the committees that we work with in the Senate, and making sure that you guys are aware of your rights and making sure that those town halls that you guys have been hosting continue, and make sure that they stay focused and that administration is interested in working with you guys.
And with that, we actually are going to end the audience questions. We're going to do one quick round, which candidates knew about. Each candidate is going to be asked to say something nice about their opponent. Paul, since you don't have an opponent, every candidate is going to be asked to say something nice about you.
Who do I have to say something nice about?
Me, apparently.
That's a good idea. Thank you, audience.
Starting with GM candidates.
I can start. Rio, I've appreciated your work at undergraduate council and path students, and I think that you really brought that into your candidacy for GM, and I appreciated the side of your posters and your effort in campaigning. I think it's a heartfelt effort, and yeah, I look forward to working with you regardless of who is GM.
Yeah, Vivian, I really appreciate your passion. I remember actually when you came as a freshman to that very first Senate meeting, and I remember we sat next to each other and talked about, like what Senate is, what student government does, and from that very first moment, you were just ready to jump in. And then now joining Senate for even just a year, you've been able to accomplish a lot on the academic affairs committee, a number of things forward. So yeah, take that.
Tim, I'll keep this quick. I just got to know you, but thank you for thank you for running these elections with such integrity and a sort of seriousness, but not an overbearing one, and making us all comfortable in this debate. Being understanding of, I must be nervous being us five. So thank you. You made me feel much more comfortable than I was prepared to be.
Okay, so Joseph, you have been on the board the past year. You've done a great job representing your clubs, doing the meetings, making sure you express your opinions on whatever motion we're seeing. It's nice whenever people are vocal, so you can actually hear different opinions or maybe similar opinions to see what we decide on the particular motion and see how much it benefits students and such. And you also done a great job at RPI TV. You go do so much service everywhere, always dedicating your time to the campus community, and I think you're just a great person overall who cares about the student body.
And everyone got Paul real quick. Oh, sorry. Lights are right up here.
So first of all, thank you, Kat. I think, Kat, really it's impressive how dedicated you are to the campus community as well, especially how passionate you are about supporting clubs. I think you've done a really great job having to sort of step up here as Ava graduated and left a vacancy for PU, and I think you did a great job of stepping up and getting the role done until the student body had a chance to do it. So.
I just want to say, you dyed your hair red for GM Week. That's respect. I mean, who has more spirit? Yeah, who has more school spirit than that? Let's give it up for Tim.
And now, everything about Paul, let's do 10 words or less.
Pink shirt.
Paul, you've been an amazing vice president. It's been a pleasure.
Paul is nice. Paul is a great guy.
Paul, I think you did a great job of stepping up where no one else wanted to.
And with that, lovely statements. Thank you, everyone, for the nice words. We're going to move to ending statements. Every candidate has a short period to summarize the platform and this debate. We're going to start with GM.
What's the time period again?
I believe it's a minute 30.
A minute 30? Okay, cool. It's starting a lot. This is fun. It's great. Not nervous at all. But thank you guys for having me and listening to my thoughts and engaging with us and bringing your questions. I hope to continue that as if I become GM, I'm not going to say as. But thank you for engaging with us. I really hope for this opportunity to extend my experience on Senate beyond the academic affairs and really work with HSAC and the Facility and Services Committee and making sure that student life and that transition under the provost is going smoothly. I hope to communicate with you guys in whether it be in GM office hours that I want to hold so that you guys can engage with me directly or with committees that are working with student groups. I want to make sure that you guys are all represented, whether that be in special projects for international students, making sure that transition is going good, whether or not it is working with Greek students to make sure that their relationship with administration is being improved and bettered, and also working with multicultural organizations on campus, making sure that they are represented not only on the Senate, but also in institutional organizations and committees as well. So vote with me for GM tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you have a pin, don't wear it to a polling station, but you can wear it around.
Yeah, so the Grand Marshal represents all students, the entire student body, and the Grand Marshal does have significant power to make change. I've seen it myself just being the undergraduate president, another officer of the union, what can be done. And there are a number of different things. And so I know I've touched on a lot, but a few things that I didn't mention is focusing on underrepresented students, multicultural clubs and organizations, making sure their voices are heard and recognized. Investing in Commons Dining Hall and the way that the dishes seem to always be dirty, I know that's a huge one. Providing resources for students who are facing food insecurity, off-campus living, helping students find apartments, opening laundry facilities to students who live off-campus, making sure that those are free for all students. Ensuring too that we review our Title IX policies and training, and that this isn't something you do once and never have to do again in your 4, 5, maybe 6 years here. Ensuring that graduate students are represented. This is a huge thing. I know it's something that has come up a lot within Student Senate, and the way in which graduate students currently feel as though they aren't fully represented within student government and the Senate. And so if I should be elected Grand Marshal, I'm committed to actually appointing a Vice Grand Marshal who is a PhD student, is a grad student. Ensuring that we're advocating for an increased stipend, restrictions on the number of hours that TAs can work, spaces for graduate students to meet beyond just in their departments, and support for them in navigating difficult advisor relationships. Making sure that as Grand Marshal, I'm open and available to support everyone, because the Grand Marshal represents you, each and every one of you. And so part of that will involve changing the culture of Senate, making sure that senators as one will actually be open and able to represent each and every one of you in all of your issues, no matter what. And so I've developed the relationships with administrators, which is vital to accomplishing this change, and I have and will continue to represent the voice of the student body. Thank you.
I just see a red card for Vivian. Vivian, can you give us 30 seconds behind the table?
No, I just wanted to plug student government that some of those projects are actively being worked on for the laundry facilities, being open to graduate students and people off campus, that is currently being worked on with administration within Senate committees, as well as the Title IX review policy that has been worked on by the Student Life Committee, working with grad students and undergrad students and Greek students as well, and making sure that appeal process is smooth and being improved. So I just wanted to plug some things that the Senate is already working on to improve that communication that we talked about.
For my conclusion, I just want to direct this to the audience, that it is so important that you guys are here. In a community where apathy often prevails, the integrity of these elections and democracy within our campus depends on you guys showing up. And, like several people did, bring up your concerns directly. That's the best thing we can do. So I invite each and every one of you who is interested enough in this to attend today. Please come to a UC meeting. I'll make sure the schedule is. I hope it's not cocky to presume that I'll win, but I'll do my best to advertise when those meetings are. And please come. I'll be looking to appoint officers within the UC. So those positions are open, and if you think that's a good place for you, please reach out to me. I think we can make a super effective team. And also shout out RPI GM Week and the Elections Commission for doing a great job with all this.
Yeah, so again, my name is Catherine Phillips, and I have mentioned already how I have a lot of experience going towards this, and as the president of the union is the chief financial and operational leader of the student union. A lot of my goals that I've outlined are more so towards the operational side, but I do also want to, not neglect the financial side, because it is a key part, and I have participated in many different budgeting cycles. I do understand the finances. Just outlining most of my goals, the operational portions of it, such as ensuring clubs are well represented, ensure that we can have a lot more clubs form, and that the clubs get all the support that they need, and then also making sure our e-board members are equipped to actually help the clubs, so that whenever they need help, the e-boarders are there to help them. And also, I would like to help enhance communication between the different bodies of student government, also with the general student body, and I hope that we can keep having liaisons to communicate between the boards and even the office meetings that we currently have. And then I would also like to help expand different campus spaces, such as the pavilions being built. It's going to be built Freshman Hill, another on Sunset Terrace. And then just try to do my best for the union and serve it as best I can.
So I'll spare everyone me repeating my platform one last time, but I think I've had the chance to make my goals I've elected as president of the union clear. So I would ask everyone to just consider where you think the union's priorities should be, because I really think that's important for all the students to have a say, and the easiest way you can have a say is by voting for the candidate you feel best reflects your views. So if you feel that my platform best reflects how the union should be run, I would encourage you to vote Joseph Bowers for president of the union tomorrow. And thank you all for being here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of GM.
Let's have each candidate's in their name position one more time, just for everyone's reference. So,
My name is Vivian Ross-Nasson, and I'm running for Grand Marshal.
My name is Ria Masoni, and I'm running for Grand Marshal.
My name is Paul Corey, and I'm running for undergraduate president.
My name is Catherine Phillips, and I'm running for president of the union.
My name is Joseph Bowers, and I'm running for president of the union.
So thank you to everyone for coming. That will begin our debate. Special thank you to Gabriel, who's out there doing the live questions, Willow for being back there doing the sound, Tom for helping me do the lights. I have no idea what I was doing. Alex for being up in the pub censoring questions while at work. Don't know if you're allowed to do that, but thank you very much. And all the other, oh no, he's down here. Tomorrow, voting will be from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at multiple stations throughout campus, specifically Union, the Commons Dining Hall, and DCC. Go vote. Russell Sage is my next thing. We are still running low on poll workers. There are QR codes around the room. Please sign up to help run the election. We need people. Thank you everyone for coming, and that is the end of the GM Week 2024 debate.
Let's hear it for Timothy Miles.